Hey there, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably into cryptids and monsters. Well, if you have a creative spark, you can always join us in our first ever Supernatural Selection zine project. For 2024, we are doing cryptid encounters, where you can draw or write a encounter with a cryptid of your choice, and we'll put it in the zine. The current submission window is from early January to late June. If you're interested in finding out more, you can always go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/zines. That is ZINES. Now back to the show.
And I just want to say, I don't recommend passing out from low blood pressure. It was not fun. It's just everything was purple and ringing. It was real bad. So, hello, and welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how are you doing?
I wouldn't recommend it either, because I was at one time I passed out in the bathroom while taking a pee in the middle of the night.
That happens sometimes.
I don't remember anything other than,
waking up on the floor?
Yeah.
Puddle of pee?
Kevin knocking on the door being like, "You okay in there?" I'm like, "Ah." But,
yeah.
It's weird. It's the only time in my life I've ever passed out.
I can't say that, but nonetheless. So we both got that. Yeah. And we've got Mr. David Davis. David, how are you?
I'm doing okay. The only time I ever passed out, I think, was from heat exhaustion.
I've almost done that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I also had to, shit real bad.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Sorry, I'm just... What? Where are we? What are we doing?
Poop fainting.
Poop fainting is a thing that you got to watch out for.
Poop fainting, yes, yep. Yes.
Yeah, that's the Mumby's curse.
I've never been fortunate enough to pull an almost Elvis.
Yeah. Oh man, let me tell you.
You never go full Elvis.
That brand. So, before we get going on the episode tonight, is this the final call for submissions, or is that in a week?
It's through the end of June.
Okay, so not the final call, but once again, we're reminding you, we have a zine we are going to be publishing. It is Cryptid Encounters. You can find information about it and how to submit your prose and or images to us at supernatpod.rocks/zines with an S on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And we would love to see your stuff in there. And Go ahead and submit. I dare you. I fucking dare you. Let's see. We don't have any new reviews, but I am putting out a call for reviews once again of your review. Man.
If you're a Mumby that practices reviews.
Yes. You can leave a review. We'll read it on the show. Typically in a weekend weird, but, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, my comics are updating, and by comics I mean the Ergo Apprentice.
Hell yeah!
So I'm excited about that. You can find it on Drunk Duck or actually the duckwebcomics.com, and you can just search for the Ergo Apprentice. You should be able to find it. And I am gonna finish this mother. I just finished this weekend's issue 29, and we're going into 30. So, yay!
Which is awesome, man. That's a hell of a milestone.
Thank you. It's taken a long damn time because, I started Ergo Apprentice, shortly after my mother died, and, I have been through a hell of a lot that has kind of kept me from finishing it. So, yeah. That's a heck of a thing. Dave,
it's an important milestone, and you deserve to celebrate.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Mike, have you got anything you want to draw attention to before we move?
No.
David, anything you want to throw up there?
No, I think we pretty much have it covered.
All right. So this week we've made a deal with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Now is it robot Satan?
Yeah, I kind of hope it. If the devil is real, it's Robot Devil from Futurama.
Yeah, no. The devil's hands are idle playthings.
Yes, the best rendition of Satan ever is always going to be Futurama's devil.
Yeah, and I'm glad you put that in there. It technically counts as our first Futurama reference of the show.
Exactly, right off the top.
Yep. So, David, tell us about this episode.
Okay, so this is kind of the start of what I'm calling an informal series on deals with the devil, and then larger to the point like Satan and hell and demons and that sort of thing, because I've always been super interested in that.
Well, I know me and Mike went through the Satanic Panic, so we have this inherent soft spot for the devil. So, hail Satan!
Yeah. So, I wanted to look at the idea of like the pact with the devil because it's like an iconic trope, and specifically, I've always had an interest in the story of Robert Johnson at the crossroads.
Oh yeah,
making the deal with the devil.
You and me both.
So we're kind of doing this episode twofold. The first part is kind of understanding the background of this idea of the deal with the devil. It's going to be hinting at a lot of stuff that we're probably going to talk about later because there's so many interesting stories on how this connects to the witch trials and familiars and all of that.
That's right, yes.
Plenty of literary references, which we'll be getting into because that's kind of my area of interest.
It's you, and so then, I figured.
And then from there, we're going to talk about our actual subject, who is Robert Johnson, famous blues guitarist, who was reputed to have gained his supernatural skills at the guitar.
And I'm happy I was able to put into that one.
So, and this is also kind of a unique one because, you and I kind of tag team this one to a degree. And I'm hoping we can do a lot more of that because that was an interesting approach. Because the back half of the episode, you kind of laid out, and then I went through and added stuff to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in Mississippi. I grew up with the stories of Robert Johnson, and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou plays into this a little bit, which I watched this week because, well, the subject for this episode. And Mike, you know some about Robert Johnson, correct?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not the name for a while, but, you always heard the story of the blues man who at a crossroads in Mississippi sold his soul to the devil for talent.
Right. And, broad strokes. I mean, a lot of us know that.
I think even they had that as kind of a storyline in Supernatural.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was also Constantine also did a... Do you remember that Constantine TV show? It was so good.
I didn't get to see it, but I did like the dude's portrayal.
Yeah, they kind of... It's become a trope, because you have the trope of a pact with the devil, but then you have the trope of the musician who has a pact with the devil, and there's a whole reason for that, which we're going to get into. So I say we go ahead and kick this off then.
Right, let's do it.
Okay, so a lot of sources this week.
Yeah.
So first, I cannot recommend Robert Johnson, Lost and Found by Barry Lee Pearson and Bill McCullough enough. It's largely the foundation on which this episode is based, especially my approach to the biographical elements, because it looks at Robert Johnson in a biographical sense, but also in the form of like the mythology, and then also, the foundations of the blues and everything like that.
Right.
Excellent book. Really worth a read if you can get a hold of it.
Yeah.
I also want to mention Ayanna Smith's essay, Blues, Criticism, and the Signifying Trickster. We've talked about semiotics before on the podcast, and your eyes glaze over, but again, semiotics is everything.
Sure.
And this is an essay that looks at Robert Johnson in the and the deal with the devil in the continuity of stories of tricksters, particularly African legends of tricksters like Monkey.
Right. What was the African trickster god's name? It starts with an A. I can't remember.
Well, if you're talking about the spider one, that's Anansi. But
that's
there's
the one.
so many. There's so many different, because every tribe had their own mythology. But Anansi is one of those who is particularly well known.
Yeah, he's kind of made the leap over into popular culture a bit more.
Yeah. So that was an essay published in the journal Popular Music. I also looked at Dick Weisman's book, Blues, The Basics.
So you looked at Dick.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Dick. It was great. So, like, I have a bunch of other sources linked in the document as well, but those are my big three for understanding Johnson. So, yeah, so Dick Johnson there we go. Let's keep going with it.
It's just a lot of innuendo.
You had to study
the...
You had to study the Dick so you could understand the Johnson.
Exactly.
The innuendo
so
went
that's
down
for
to Georgia.
So that's for the back half of the episode. Now, so for the front half, which I feel is going to be, it's kind of like a tease at stuff that we're going to be getting into later. So for the first half of the episode, a lot of background on deals with the devil, and many of the sources are linked in the document.
Mm-hmm.
As far as some key text, I borrow heavily from Kimberly Ball's essay, The Devil's Pact, Diabolic Writing and Oral Tradition, which was published in the journal Western Folklore.
Right.
I also have Richard Whiteman Fox's Speak of the Devil, Popular Religion in American Culture, published in the journal American Literary History.
Okay.
And I have a whole battery of witch texts and packs from some upcoming work I'm doing on witch trial history.
Right.
I took a witchcraft class once and I became obsessed, so I have volumes of witchcraft lore and trial transcripts and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
But
yeah.
Did you once stay at a Holiday Inn Express? Because then you would be an expert.
I've never been to a Holiday Inn Express, actually.
Yeah, I haven't either. I stayed in a Holiday Inn back when they were the fancy place to stay.
See, when I hear Express, it doesn't seem friendly because it seems like they just kind of want to get you in and out. You know what I mean?
It's super impersonal. Just
Sure.
I don't know. It's probably fine. It's just a Holiday Inn. But,
and you have to sell your soul to stay there.
Yes.
Tying that back.
All right.
Holiday Inn Express at the Crossroads.
Ooh. Nice.
Have a devilishly good time.
Whoa.
I'm guessing Crossroads used to be a more infrequent thing, because there are crossroads everywhere nowadays.
Well, it's not so much that, but symbolically, if we're getting into the symbolism of the crossroad, and I'm sure I'm getting into this later in the script, I don't remember at this point, but energy is always tied, if we're talking about supernatural energy, it's said to be tied to areas of transition.
Mm-hmm. Like crossroads or bridges.
Or doorways.
Hotels. Yep. Hotels are often haunted.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's part of the reason for crossroad. A crossroad is naturally, and it gets into the idea of boundaries and everything like that. A crossroad is a meeting of two boundaries, and there's always an implied power in the transition between boundaries.
Well, my butt is a boundary.
Your butt
but it's never been haunted before. That I know of.
That would be wild if your ass was haunted.
It has smelled like things died before, but that's a difference.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, it does smell like brimstone, much like Satan.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Satan, let's talk about Faustian bargains.
All right. Let's do that.
Now,
Mike?
Oh, yes?
I was going to say, never mind. No, I got nothing.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Mike was like, placeholder for joke.
No, it was more of a, if you understand what that is, but I'm sure, but then I realized, wait a minute, Dave is going to explain how I'm going to be snarky about it.
I mean, if there's anything we can trust me to do on this podcast is over-explain things.
I wouldn't say over.
I love context. I love delivering context, and unfortunately, it was most apparent in the yokai episode because I had to get into the fucking etymology of these different words. But I thought it was interesting.
We had fun with it.
Yeah.
If we're not delivering some information, I guess we're failing.
I mean, you can't have your pudding till you eat your meat,
both
right?
entertain and
God. Speaking of devil's music.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what this episode is not is a complete history of the devil as a concept.
Oh, come on. You should be overachieving here. Just
right.
30 hours long of the complete history of the devil.
No, when I tackle the devil as a full-on subject, we're looking at probably a 3-part episode.
Oh, Christ.
Like, I'm telling you right now, there's just that much to go on.
Notice he said when. He didn't say if.
Oh, yeah, no, here's the thing. We got a lot about Satan we got to say, so.
Yeah, I mean, because, you see, you got me going off on a tangent here, but, there's like, multiple distinct versions of the devil that have different meaning.
Oh, yeah.
And each one of them deserves to be explored.
Right.
So, yeah. So this so we'll be exploring this idea of the devil a little bit at a time over time, because when we talk about the witch trials and everything like that, we have to talk about the pacts that witches supposedly made and like the devil's marks and everything like that. So this go around, my focus is on the idea of the deal with the devil as a concept. We'll be looking at it in a couple of ways, but the main subject of our episode, of course, is blues musician Robert Johnson. Now, I have a particular interest in Satan as a figure in mythology, culture, and metaphor, but for now, I just kind of want to give us a basic concept of what this deal with the devil trope is, which is sometimes known as a Faustian bargain, or sometimes a Mephistophelian. Because I know it's Mephistopheles.
Mephistophelian.
Yeah, Mephistophelian bargain. That's it. Yeah, that's a fucking complicated one. Jesus.
That is a word there. Now, before we go on, this does mean we're going to be talking about Brian Usna's 2000 film Faust, Love of the Damned, featuring Jeffrey Combs, right?
I mean, we could if we start that fucking film show.
Well, I mean, like that movie the story took place in New York, and it was obviously Spain. So it's a terrible fucking movie. Anyway, yeah, it's based loosely around the story of Faust, but it's also a horror superhero movie. So,
yeah. So the idea of the Faustian bargain, because I'm not going to say the other one because I can't fucking say it.
Yes.
So this is a cultural trope where someone engages in a pact with a dark figure, usually Satan, but it can be, other demons and that sort of thing. And that's when they usually make a trade. Usually it's their soul for a boon, such as wealth, knowledge, or power.
Yeah. Like Bart selling his soul to Milhouse.
Does that make Milhouse a demon?
Yes.
I guess in that scenario, yeah. So yeah, typically a Faustian bargain, I mean, it's definitely more linked to a supernatural interpretation, but, the deal with the devil has become, like, just a thing for, like, again, to quote another metaphor here, selling your soul.
Yeah.
This becomes kind of a thing, like taking a bad deal in order to gain something. So, it's an incredibly common trope in fiction and popular culture, and has existed for probably about as long as humans have been swearing their souls to higher powers. Probably even before the conception of hell, predating Zoroastrianism.
Right, so hell is as old as hell. I got it.
Right, and that's another one we'll have to talk about, is Zoroastrianism.
Oh, God, the oldest religion on the face of the fucking planet, almost.
That Christianity got most of its shit from,
Yep.
Now, we mostly know this, like, deal with the devil idea from a Christian context, as Christianity and the fire and brimstone belief of heaven and hell have significantly influenced Western civilization. But this trope was codified in the story of Faust, which has served as the broad archetype for many stories about pacts with the devil. Now, predating Faust is in a Christian context, we have Theophilus of Adana, a 6th century cleric who is said to have made a demonic pact to rise in the rankings of the church, and was likely the inspiration for Faust to a degree.
See, I never really knew that was like a thing. I didn't know Faust had like a factual origin.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories actually of like priests selling their soul to the devil in order to rise in the rankings of the church.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Now, I'm not going to get too into the weeds here, but if you want me to talk Germanic legends, let me know, and maybe we could do that in supernatural sources.
Okay.
What I do want to give us is the most basic summary of the story of Faust that I can, and specifically, I'll be working from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's drama of the late 18th and early 19th century. Now, it was a retelling of the story surrounding one Dr. Johann George Faust, or John Faustus, in the 15th century, who was a real person.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have to do an entire episode devoted to Faust at some point.
Okay.
So, yeah, Faust was said to be a scholar, sometimes astrologer, sometimes a necromancer. And in the story, Von Goeth's version, he's reaching the end of his life and feels unfulfilled with his intellectual pursuits. So, like any bored nerd, he turns to magic. But he's unable to achieve the knowledge he seeks, and he considers suicide.
I don't know how to do this spell in D&D. I guess I'll kill myself. Oh, wow, this is a satanic panic.
So this is something all college students have experienced when they find what looks like a perfect article on a database, only to find out it does not exist or is a review of a text that is not available to them.
Or
I've been there.
Yeah, or when you're researching this show and it turns out to be a supplement for a fucking RPG. Man, don't get me started.
So, quoting Faust from the play's first act, and this is the Von Goeth one.
Okay.
For this, all pleasure I am foregoing, I do not pretend to aught worth knowing. I do not pretend I could be a teacher to help or convert a fellow creature. Then too I've neither lands nor gold, nor the world's least pomp and honor hold. No dog would endure such a cursed existence. Wherefore from magic I seek assistance, that many a secret perchance I reach through spirit power and spirit speech, and thus the bitter task forego of saying things I do not know, that I may detect the inmost force which binds the world and guides its course. Its germs, productive powers explore, and rummage in the empty words no more.
That is beautiful. Is that from the 8 Mile soundtrack?
Arms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti. Yeah.
Yeah, the man's a poet.
Yeah. But yeah, like, it's him, like, you know, basically saying that, like, I've kind of reached the limits of my knowledge. I'm going to turn to magic. But even then, like, I can't find the thing that, like, binds and guides the universe. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens is Faust eventually finds himself followed by a dog who reveals itself to be the devil in the form of Mephistopheles. Though in some versions, Mephistopheles is just a servant of the devil. In any case, Mephistopheles tricks Faust into a bargain. Mephistopheles will serve Faust in life, and Faust will serve him in the afterlife.
Okay, I just want to say that I'm glad we're getting the associations with dogs in so early.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Mike, do you remember I made up the god of puppets? Muppetstopheles?
Okay, yeah, kind of.
Okay, just curious if you remember that.
Yeah.
Didn't Metallica do a song about God of Puppets?
That was Bastard of Muppets.
Yeah. Yes, I know.
Yeah. No.
So here's the other thing. I want to point out that the dog in the story is a poodle.
What?
Yeah, because when you're not like doing the frou-frou like haircuts on poodles, they're just curly dogs, right?
I guess so. I haven't really thought about it.
And they tend to be really smart. So coming in the form of a poodle makes some sense here. But yeah, poodles I think are like the third smartest breed.
Okay, I'm looking at one, and they're fucking adorable. Yeah.
No, like a non like stylized poodle is still fucking adorable. So.
Yeah.
So
you know, if you had to ask me to name, evil dogs, I think poodle will be on the top 5 list.
That's fair.
Like Chihuahua, of course, number 1, but poodle is like at number 4 at least. I don't know.
Yeah, and any dog that's particularly demanding and fussy.
Yeah.
So where does Doberman land?
Honestly, they're not particularly demanding or fussy, from what I know.
You never been chased by Dobermans, have you?
Well, I mean, they'll chase you and shit, but that doesn't mean they're like demanding and fussy. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fair. All right.
Yeah, like it's the type of dog that thinks it's better than you.
Chows. Yeah.
Oh god,
gotcha.
no. Chow is number 2 of the evil dogs.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll have to. That'll be our game for Distraction Hole this weekend.
Worst
What's
dogs.
the most evil dog? Most evil dog. Okay, so Cujo. So Again, I'm going to quote the play here. This is Mephistopheles from Act 4. Here, an unwearied slave, I shall wear thy tether, and to thine every not obedient be. When there again we come together, then shalt thou do the same for me. So again, here's the agreement.
Okay.
You use me as your slave in this life, and in the next, you're my slave. Now, long story short, there's some trickery back and forth as Mephistopheles, in the impish fashion, manipulates the situation to take advantage of Faust. Now, in Goethe's version, Faust is eventually saved and led into heaven, but not before trials at the hands of the devil, and also, like all German folklore, a woman dies and a baby is drowned.
It's like the Irish and murdering spouses in their songs. It's like it's just one of those national tropes, I guess. Mike, how many songs did we hear Jim perform that involved, like, beating your wife in the head and dumping her in a river?
I don't remember any.
Besides Lawless.
I mean...
There were a few. I
mean, there was those, Whiskey in the Jar where the dude was betrayed by his woman, but, he didn't, do anything to her.
Yeah, it's like... I told Jim once to his face, the Irish are a drunken, xenophobic, wife-murdering lot, apparently. And he said, you're not far off.
And that's coming from an Irishman.
He
so
is
there you
from
go.
County
We can't
Cork.
be mad at Kevin for that.
Yeah, no, he's from County Cork, so...
Yes, he was a very Irish gentleman.
Extremely.
So... The irony of Faust being a codifier for this whole concept is that usually it's not a pact that Faust signs, but a wager with Mephistopheles. But, what is a wager but a gambler's pact? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
Wouldn't a wager require,
stakes?
Not stakes. There's the stakes for his soul and everything, but wouldn't it require, an external, outcome? There's nothing they're betting on.
Unless it's him
there
finding truth.
There is. I'm really simplifying this down, but there's a series of little wagers, one of which involving the affections of a woman, and she ends up dying. Yeah, that sort of thing. So there's a whole thing to it, but the key thing is that even though it's a wager, that's still kind of like a pact. It's still an agreement.
Well, yeah, I mean, a wager is,
sure,
is not quite a contract, but it's if I win, I get this. If you win, you get this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, and then the other thing is when we come to pacts, there's all sorts of different versions of a pact. Sometimes it's a verbal thing. Sometimes it's in the case of witch lore, your pact is signed in a body mark, like a witch mark and that sort of thing.
You sign in blood, and the devil's mark is placed upon ye.
But
so yeah, basically, there is an agreement made with a hell figure for something.
What I'm not hearing though is an explanation of what a super pact is.
Oh.
So
that hurt.
I'm gonna move past that one.
Yes.
So I would love to do an entire episode about this in the future. So let us know if you want to look at the real Faust and everything like that, listeners, please, because I would love to talk about this more in depth.
Oh, he would.
So what we have here is the basic idea of a pact that's kind of been codified, ironically. In Faust's case, it's kind of this literal contract signed in blood for the wager. However, other famous pacts with the devil have been oral pacts. Sometimes such pacts leave more physical signs, but like in witch lore, sometimes the pacts leave marks. Mm-hmm. And that's something we'll get into when we start looking at those witch trials. Because, again, there's all these really weird kind of esoteric, this is a mark of a witch. A person has a third nipple, they're a witch.
Oh,
yeah.
Nubbin. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
nubbin. The devil's nubbin.
Because I have a nubbin. So I may have signed a pact with a demon at some point.
Or your mom may have.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You visited on your
on your deathbed.
Children.
Upon the seventh generation.
Yeah.
Do you guys have nubbins?
No.
Nope.
Oh, okay. So I'm the freak here. Okay. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
No,
I
I've
mean-
got I've had it described to me as like a third nipple. It's a significantly large enough nubbin.
Wow. Okay.
That's way too much to reveal about myself, but you know what? I feel like sharing.
I feel grossly uncomfortable. Let's move on.
Tell you what, I'll post a picture of the nubbin
Oh,
to the
fuck,
Patreon.
Fuck you.
I have a weird head like bump. I'm glad I'm not in danger of going bald, because my head would be one ugly landscape.
Like the surface of Venus.
Yes, it's got a couple of craters, some like protruberances.
Just Olympus Mons at one point.
Yeah,
surface
no,
of Mars.
it's horrifying.
Like your head is the meat planet.
Yes.
Like, at least you don't have the divot in your head from headphones, unless you maybe do and you don't know it yet.
I mean,
That's an anxiety for you to think about.
Oh, Christ.
You're gonna go to bed one night like, do I have the headphone divot?
luckily that's just like skin and fat. It's not like actual bone.
Like, if you've ever seen those, though, those are like dramatic as shit. Man.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. So, you know, as for like demons and pact lore, I do have the Lesser Key of Solomon in my reading queue, which again we'll cover at some point.
Yep, I've got a copy of that if you want to lose a whole weekend with demons.
So I'm just curious.
I want to tackle demonology.
I want notes on how to summon like some of the sexy demons.
Succubi?
I mean, sure. But we'll talk about that later.
It doesn't work out the way you think.
Ah, come on. I don't have that much time left anyway. What am I going to do with it?
Damn, son.
What am I going to do with it? Get old?
You know, you summon a succubus and it has the voice of Nick Nolte.
How you doing?
Shh, don't say anything.
I have to. It's part of the deal.
All right, never mind then. Gills off.
Oh, God, hair in my mouth.
Ah, nice.
That's the devil.
Oh, man, okay. I think the devil's trying to stop us from revealing his secret plans here.
Too bad.
Through petty annoyances.
Exactly. I mean, if I were a demon, I would probably be a demon of petty annoyances.
That's why Kevin fainted yesterday.
Oh, yeah, petty
with
annoyance.
the hair in his mouth. I have like a mouth sore. Maybe that's it.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because I started writing the script.
Yep, that's it.
So, getting back to the concept of this deal with the devil, it's not always literal and is most often used these days as a metaphor for cooperation with someone unsavory or corrupt.
Like big
I'm sure we can name
corporations.
any number of examples.
Yeah.
Corpos.
The moral bankruptcy of America.
Yeah, just dealing with any bank in general.
Yep, pretty much.
Now, the other thing is that the devil or whatever infernal figures appear in the exchange, they're often a trickster, and that's also kind of particularly common in African American folklore.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these like deals with the devil in that kind of context. It may not be the devil, but there's always kind of like an impish trickster figure.
Right, some sort of spiritual being that's like Loki-ish.
Yeah. So from Ayanna Smith's Blues criticism in The Signifying Trickster, quote, "The trickster figure is often portrayed as one who lives outside the margins of society. He fits into no normalized pattern of social behavior, and it is this rebel-like tendency that allows him to become the hero of the trickster tale. The trickster represents everything one would like to do but cannot. The trickster, therefore, presents an alternative, vicarious existence that contrasts with the strict boundaries of slave existence. In a society with limited roles available to African Americans, the trickster provides an outlet for the expression of the socially unacceptable themes."
Right.
So there's
it's an
a
escape.
couple things going on there. Yeah. So one thing is, you know, by the time Robert Johnson's out there wailing on the blues guitar, it's been less than 100 years since the Civil War. It's it's been two generations. Yeah, I think about two generations, right?
There are people at that point still alive from around that era.
Yeah. So there's that kind of element that kind of plays into Robert Johnson's mystique, because again, we're gonna see that he's like this kind of free spirit. He is a trickster in and of himself.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, also this idea of the trickster figure as a hero, we have Paradise Lost to thank for Satan as a protagonist or a Byronic kind of character.
Yeah, and the Rolling Stone song.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, if you're trying to be a rebel, you turn to Satan.
Right.
Right? If you're trying to protest, the religious right, trying to exercise certain things in schools, for example, what do? You turn to Satan and join the Church of Satan and, like, have the Satanic Bill of Rights put up in City Hall.
Right.
Stuff like that. So part of this trickster thing is the trickster is always like the anti-authority figure, and there's no anti-authority figure bigger than Satan.
Fair.
Yeah. So there, I know that there's like a lot of like linking tissue that I'm not exactly doing here between African American folklore and trickster characters and Satan, but I think we could see that there is this kind of common strand between them.
Yeah.
Especially how it lines up with like Christianity and the black community. Yeah,
no, totally.
I think
because it's so, with African Americans in particular, it's a combination of their original religion and the one forced on them, so that they have this combined sort of bizarre mythology go. And I don't mean bizarre. I mean, like, an interesting mythology.
Yeah, no, it's unique, and that's what's so interesting about it. So yeah, again, we're like not experts here. I'm referring to text when I can. If anyone from the African American community wants to like let us know what we're getting right or wrong, please let us know. Because I love to learn. So that's kind of why we do this show.
Yep.
Well, Mike does it to hang out with us and make jokes.
I do it to hurt you, both of you.
And you hurt us, you have.
Yes.
So, like, I mentioned tricksters in the context of the devil specifically because many stories and traditions turn the figure into a trickster. There's like a fuzzy demonology at play here. Paradise Lost that paints Satan as a sympathetic figure. So, like, how do you make someone kind of an asshole but not outright evil? You make them a trickster, right? There's a lineage of thought here.
Yeah, alternately, you can give them to Chris Claremont and you get Wolverine. Also, I am now mentally smitten with the image of fuzzy demons.
Just little fuzzy imps, man.
Yeah, just a little, like you take them and stick them on the end of your pencil when you were in junior high.
Now, just as some traditions paint Satan as Mephistopheles, and sometimes paint Mephistopheles as Satan's servant, Satan is sometimes given the traits of Belial, whereas sometimes Belial is a lesser demon that serves Satan. As I understand it, the Belial of the Old Testament would later become the Satan of the New Testament. Like, that's one interpretation.
Yeah.
That I found. And of course, Belial, like the Lord of Lies, that sort of thing. Again, there's a trickery element to that. And that all leads into pacts, right? So it kind of becomes a case of, like, how do you like your hell? Like, do you want a court of demons, or is there, like, a singular Dark Lord, right?
Which is it, Mike?
I don't know.
I'm always going to go for the court of demons.
Of course you are. There's more bang for your buck that way.
Well, and then also, like, inevitably, someone does a project about it and it ends up being a bureaucracy. Like Good Omens.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, so you have all these demons running these different departments of tortures.
It's like the Far Side.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's the most... Whatever gets us closest to the living Far Side, I'm approving of.
Yep, I'm going to go find a cow.
So that's kind of the problem with all of this, though, is that there's so many, like, names. They're interchangeable based on the perspective you wish to take and which tradition you're working from. In this case of this idea of pacts, we're just kind of roll with this larger idea of, like, a singular Satan.
Okay. Now, I do think that it is incredibly confusing. And given the dubious nature of all the biblical translations, with it being the Satan, which was a position in God's court, well, it's a whole other episode, like you said. We're going to have to go into that later.
Yeah, because in some interpretations, Satan isn't even the devil.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just a fallen angel.
Yeah,
So,
or again,
there's so many traditions.
Or, again, He was not even a fallen angel. He was like there. He was literally the devil's advocate in God's court. So weird polytheistic shit from the Jews in the old days.
Well, and a lot of that comes from borrowing from Zoroastrianism.
Indeed.
But, we'll get into that another time.
Oh, God.
So let's talk about some historical pacts. We kind of have, I feel like we have a good working background of like what a pact is supposed to be. So let's look at like some reputed examples of it in real life.
Okay.
Now, while deals with the devil are a frequent source of drama and entertainment, there are reputed real-life examples of such pacts. Now, the one that would come to mind for me first would be like the story of witches. But even beyond the real-life Johann George Faust, there are so many more. So, for example, who doesn't love a naughty pope?
Yeah, there's a whole show about that.
Yeah, no, like the popes have done some pretty fucked up shit. Man.
Oh, I mean...
Well,
right?
we talked about their secret archives.
Yeah, I know. They got
With
the
the
dead
time
alien
machine.
down there, Archbishop Zipnak, and...
There's always the secret pope's biggest ball.
Ooh. That's...
So-
wow. That's a deep cut for you British comedy fans.
So, Pope Sylvester II, which Sylvester is a great name for a pope.
God, he's
Suffering
always
succotash.
chasing Tweety Bird.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we both went there, Mike.
Now, here's the thing. Sylvester is a name that dates back to the 10th century. What the fuck, dude?
Wow.
That just strikes me as weird.
That is kind of weird.
Yeah, so Pope Sylvester II, the second is Pope Sylvester.
Wow.
Pope
There's
Sylvester.
just
the
layers
other
upon
one.
layers here,
Where's Pope Bugs Bunny the First?
Yeah.
right? Pope Fudd.
Hello.
Pope Elmer,
Yeah. Oh God.
Hello, I'm going to lead you the Bible.
third of his name.
Shh, be very, very
Fudd the
quiet.
Third.
I'm exorcising demons.
Oh man, Pope Daffy Duck II.
Oh
that's
God,
way
I
too
love
meany.
that.
So, Pope Sylvester II, circa the 10th century, so wild, was said to have learned magic from a demon known as Meridiana.
Interesting.
There's a lot more to the story, but I'd like to save that for later. I think we should do a series on naughty popes.
That's a
For
very naughty
example,
Indeed.
one version of the story claims he won the papacy by playing dice with the devil. So could you imagine a pope playing like quarters or some shit with a demon?
White smoke. The new pope has beaten Satan at poker. Seriously, though, there was also this monk, David. Have you heard of this? It was a monk who made a deal with the devil to finish a copy of the Bible in one night as punishment, and that gave us the Gigas Codex, which is the largest illustrated manuscript in the world, and it also has this wicked-ass picture of the devil at the front of it.
That is so cool. I love that. I love that, and I love the fact that like the devil signed his handiwork by doing the sickest illustration possible.
I know how badass is that, dude.
Just
Yeah.
There's a pope kneeling on the street corner, rolling them bones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, he's dicing with Tyrone Bigham.
Yeah.
Papa needs a big pointy hat.
You got any more with that free crack? Anyway.
He wagers the Pope mobile on he's on a streak, so he's like, Pope, you're out of money. He's like, I got a car, put it online.
Oh,
I'm
Take
feeling
up
lucky.
a collection. Take up a collection. Oh, so
Wait, Kevin. Does
Yeah.
that mean Matt Cawthon became a pope?
Pope Matt Cawthon from the Wheel of Time, yes. We all remember that.
Yes.
another example of a pact such as this is Bavarian painter Christoph Heismann, circa the 17th century.
The creator
Now,
of the
there is-
trophy.
I wasn't going to say it.
Sports reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know sports either, but I know Heisman.
Look, football.
Hand egg.
Now, there is a lot to talk about here, including 2 exorcisms, 2 written pacts, and, quote, demonological neuroses as an analytical profile written by problematic psychology weirdo Sigmund Freud.
Very problematic and very weird.
So, 2 exorcisms. Gee, Christoph, how come your god lets you have 2 exorcisms?
Look, there's only so much penis metaphor a podcast can handle, right?
I mean, what was he? He's trying to exorcism the Oedipal complex from someone?
Probably.
It just wild confluence of things. Like, okay, 2 fucking exorcisms. That's wild. Like, did the first one not take?
I don't know, but or maybe he asked for another one. I don't know.
No, it was,
thank you, sir. May I have another?
Maybe it was like, he's trying to do 2 at the same time. Like, it was like different people. It was like that when they would do like surgery tricks back in the day, when they like have a big theater and like try to like do as many surgeries as possible.
Okay, I got an idea on what happened. So the guy was possessed and then had an exorcism and then was possessed again and had another exorcism. It's like chickenpox and shingles, or measles and shingles, is what it is.
See, like, the mention of the 2 exorcism and 2 written pacts. So did he get out of the first pact with an exorcism, get his debts cleared, and then go in for another one, and then get that cleared? Is that how it worked? I don't know. We're going to have to cover that, but we're not going to do that right now. Sorry.
Or maybe, he really liked the attention from the exorcism, so... It's like a Munchausen exorcism by proxy.
Ooh, so he was like coercing the demons in for attention.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a sexy exorcism like the nuns from Verdun.
Ooh.
You guys have heard of that story, right?
I have.
Yeah, sexy lesbian nuns influenced by the devil and witchcraft and everything like that.
Think about like a demon-infested Castle Anthrax, Mike.
Where? Tell me where. I'm going now. I'm packing my bags.
I can't tell you how many of those kind of movies I find on like my B-movie streaming, like free ad-supported streaming services, like Italian movies made in the 70s about sexy nuns.
Oh, those are terrible. I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, there are so many stories that we can cover regarding this, which is why inevitably it ends up as a series. And we're going to save those for later. But in the meantime, how about we get ready to switch gears with the Blues and Robert Johnson?
All right. Well, guys, we will be right back after this. Hi everyone, this is Kevin from Supernatural Selection. Are you an independent creator? Do you have a webcomic or an Etsy store? Do you 3D print things? Or are you just looking to get some word out for your Discordian cabal with social terrorism? Well, we'd love to help. And David, I believe you've got some details about how we can help.
Why, certainly. If you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, that is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, you can learn how to advertise with us.
That's right. I believe the rate is $2 per episode. You can't beat that with a stick.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, that's cheap. That's literally cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm. And best of all, if you're not sure how to write an ad, we'll do it for you. We'll even record it.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need in the ad, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
And again, that URL is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact.
And now, back to the show. All right, we are back. Now, David, before we get started again, I want to throw down that when you first approached me about this episode about Robert Johnson, I mistook it for Robert Paulson and ended up watching Fight Club like 19 times.
His name is Robert Paulson.
Yep. See, poor old Meatloaf.
See, when you told me about it, I thought you were talking about Robert Vell Johnson, the dad from Family Matters.
Oh
yeah, no, I could see that.
One of the brave officers at Nakatomi Plaza.
I tell you, that man, I salute his sacrifice.
Now, when you say you mix up people, that threw me off when we recorded Distraction Hole because I was talking about Roger Corman, but you mentioned Harvey Corman,
and so that fucked both of us up.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway,
we got the brain worms just like RFK Jr.
So before we kind of move into this back half of the episode, like, I'm gonna throw like a couple questions at you guys.
Okay.
Now, why do you feel pacts with the devil are so common, and have you guys ever sold your soul before?
Mike, you mind if I go first?
Go ahead.
All right. First off, it feels like selling one's soul is the ultimate cautionary tale. I mean, it teaches that short-term rewards aren't worth the consequences and that they're really badass. But I know I personally haven't sold my soul yet due to the market value. I'm waiting until it goes back up. So, Mike?
Yeah.
How about you?
So I think it's tempting, because it's easy, right? It's like, it seems like one of those things. It's like, why say, study real hard and get good at whatever you want to achieve when you could, sell your soul, which seems, it's like, I'm not using it. That's the joke. It's like,
right.
And so, I mean, it's just appealing like that. It's like,
the easy way.
Giving up something that you think you don't need, which, depending on that depends on your
belief and affiliation
and stuff like that. Yeah. But I don't know if I ever tried, like, I mean, no shadowy figure approached me. If they had, maybe I would have, I don't know. Can't say for sure.
I'm sure I've been pretty fast and loose with like auctioning off pieces of my soul, and no one's collected yet, so I think I'm okay. Yeah. But
David,
if you hear that I fall into a pit full of fire at some point, then someone collected.
That or you're clumsy.
Yeah, that true. I could walk into like a furnace or something.
That's very true.
But that's the thing is like it's an easy thing. Oh yeah, no, I'd sell my soul for whatever.
A donut.
Yeah, exactly.
There's our Simpsons reference. Flanders, you're the devil. Always a person you least expect.
I'm trying to think, what would I sell my soul for? Like,
oh, that's a good question. A sandwich. Yeah. Like a really good sandwich.
So here's the thing: if some nethery being approached me and said, "Do you want to sell your soul?" I'd really have to start thinking about it because right now, as I stand, I don't believe I have a soul. So,
but if a demon showed up, there's proof.
Now I've got like corroboration. Like I have a soul. I really have to put thought into this.
Now do I want to keep it?
Yeah.
It'd be like someone telling you that you had a rich uncle who died and now you own a mansion. It's like, oh shit, what do I do with this now?
Yeah.
Well, okay, that is a good question though. What would I sell my soul for?
Yeah.
Honestly, and 100% honest here, probably for the pain to stop.
Fuck, dude, that's dark.
Yeah, I like physically and mentally, but mostly physically.
Yeah, I'm not proud. I'd say money.
Yeah, that's like dark as fuck. But like, there's never a minute I'm not hurting. But
I mean, as long as I can like, see, here's the thing. Also, is that they always say they're gonna try to screw you. So you can wish for money, but then you're gonna die like in 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, but with the money, you can get a really good lawyer.
So, if I figure I could, negotiate decent terms.
Mike's sitting here playing the long game.
Paralegal in hell.
It's kind of it'd be a hard thing. It's like, kind of like the, what was it I read? Like some meme about like, you make some deal and it's like you get $10 million or something, but there's this snail that's always chasing you, and if it never touches you, you die.
Yeah, but it's a snail.
But it's also like, you never know where it could be. Where does it start? You don't know if it's like...
what if that snail gets shinobi training? Or what if it's the snail from that DreamWorks movie where he gets the jet engine?
Yeah. Oh, God.
So it's like, you don't know.
That's
just like with the devil, it's like, the deal with the devil, it's like, how crafty is this motherfucker going to be to like sabotage all my shit?
The legal thing gave me a terrible idea for a TV show. It's a legal procedural in hell called Faustian Legal.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
I like it.
Yeah, all right.
I'm going to throw this out to our listeners. I want you to tell us what you would sell your soul for, and then we will rank them on the next Week in Weird.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that would be awesome. Please tell us what you would sell your soul for. Hit us up in the Discord, on social media, at
or email us.
Across social media. Email us,
Yeah.
whatever. Leave it in a comment on Spotify.
My problem is anything I could think of, I can also think of a way that it would be turned bad. It could be monkey pawed. Like I could say, I want to be happy and content for, the next, 60 years.
And they give you a lobotomy.
Yeah, no, and it turns me into just a drooling, happy idiot.
It turns you into a character from a Mentos commercial.
Yeah, no,
you trip onto the pointy end of a rake or something.
Yes.
Up your nose, through your eye, you're lobotomized, but hey, you're happy.
Yay, paper.
The same thing, you wish for money, but, you're just miserable because you have all this other shit happen to you. Or you become
everyone in your family dies and you get the inheritance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you win a giant lawsuit, but it's because you were turned into a quadriplegic.
Oh, yeah. Got to be real specific with that shit.
Yeah.
We're real good at monkey's paw.
Please, if you're listening, send us in what you would sell your soul for, and then we'll judge you for it.
And we can figure out ways to screw you with it.
And who's got the best?
There we go. That's going to be a game for Week in Weird.
Yep, we're gonna monkey's paw some fuckers.
All right, so one thing that I found, we're getting back to the actual topic now.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
One thing I found is that there is a particularly rich tradition of deals with the devil in music. Something about musicians makes them predisposed to signing pacts with demons, I guess.
I think it probably has to do with, musicians in general were seen as, unsavory types.
Well,
in Judeo-Christian kind of scenarios. They were frequently hedonistic and, outside of the social norms. And, they provoked all that, devil dancing and things like that. So,
well, alternately, modern music industry, like anything that lets you cut corners would be good. And let me tell you, if anybody needed to deal with the devil, it was Andy Partridge and XTC.
Well, and also, Mike, what you were talking about, that's also highly relevant to Robert Johnson, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
With that said, I think this is just kind of like an apocryphal metaphor for selling your soul for your art, like signing with a record label.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So, from Open Culture's A Brief History of Making Deals with the Devil, Niccolo Pagini, Robert Johnson, Jimmy Page, and more. Quote, "Those who talk of selling their souls might really believe it, but they inherited the language from centuries of Western cultural and religious tradition. Selling one's soul is a common metaphor for living a carnal life or getting into bed with shady characters for worldly success. But it's also a playful notion, a misunderstood aspect of so much metal in the comic Satan overkill."
Right. Like 2 minutes to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, conversely to popular rumor, Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin did not sell his soul to the devil. Now, that's one of those stories that I've heard frequently brought up with this topic.
Okay,
Every time
I didn't know
every
that.
time I mention Robert Johnson, they say, "Oh, you should talk about Jimmy Page." Now, Jimmy Page, really, he's just an occult-obsessed dude who used satanic imagery because it's fucking rad.
I mean, that's all of hard rock and metal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Except for the black metal guys, they believe it.
Oh.
Well, and I know that he's been associated with Thelema and the teachings of Aleister Crowley. I'm not sure if he considers himself to be a Thelemite.
Right.
He did own Boleskine House for a time, Boleskine House being, once owned by Aleister Crowley off the shore of Loch Ness. Yes, there is a whole chapter of Crowley's story where he may have created the Loch Ness Monster. It's very wild. That being said, the occult connections of Jimmy Page are pretty fun to discuss and worth a mention here. We could talk about the occult and rock in another episode.
Yeah, we really need to do an episode about him and David Bowie's magical nerd fight.
Oh God, it's so wild.
Like, because the whole thing was like David Bowie found a stain on the floor of his pool and was convinced it was a curse that Jimmy Page put on him.
This was during David Bowie's period where he ate nothing but like peppers and drank exclusively milk and smoked like cigarettes constantly.
He just put cocaine on peppers and drank milk.
Man, I miss David Bowie.
I swear to God.
So it didn't do any favors for metal, though. The fact that they already liked, the occult and the devil, and the Christians just use that as more fuel to the devil music.
I love but then like the metal guys end up turning that into like they end up playing along with the metaphor.
Oh yeah, no, it's kind of it's like, well, you're gonna hate us, or you're gonna hate us more because we're just gonna double down on it.
God, I don't want to get into the West Memphis 3, but goddamn.
Yeah, well, I mean that's probably something that would connect to the Satanic Panic. Is like
we'll mention it. I don't think we'll do a deep dive, but we'll mention it.
Yeah, but it's definitely part of that.
Right.
So we're gonna turn to the blues. So how do you guys feel about the blues?
So go ahead.
I don't
Mike.
have the blues.
I got the blues so bad. So, normally I'm not. I was gonna say I'm not a big fan of the blues, and then I remembered I got a lot of blues on my title. So, it's a funny story. I didn't get much exposure to the blues as a child, which is odd living in Mississippi. What I did get exposed to are the legends of the blues, to an extent, at any rate. And if you don't mind, I would love to tell y'all about this, and I'll sort of take the driver's seat a little, and David can throw in, and Mike, as always, you can throw in and tell me thoughts and stuff.
Well, so, I do want to mention that like I like the blues, but I've never really like. I've certainly been listening to it a lot more since I've started doing the research and everything like that, and it's really fucking good, man. Like I don't know what it is, like why I never really got into it. It's probably because I was listening to more contemporary shit, as I was growing up. But as I'm getting older, I'm tuning my listening back to earlier stuff, and the blues is coming. Like I'm doing a lot of like dollar bin country stuff lately, like old psychobilly and everything like that.
Oh, but, man, Mojo Nixon.
But like, like the blues, like as I was writing the script, I had like one of those YouTube mega mixes, like 3 hours of the blues or whatever. And I'm just like, that is fucking rad. And nothing beats the blues at a barbecue restaurant, man.
That's true.
That's a fucking vibe. You go to a barbecue place, they got the blues playing, your fingers are drenched in the sauce.
This is the most first world white thing I've ever heard. But,
fuck you. I'm proud of being able to admit to that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And if you like rock music, you can't but help appreciate the blues, because if it wasn't for the blues, rock wouldn't be where it is now.
Oh, and we're gonna get into that. But one other thing I'm gonna say, David, is if you're getting into the blues, I strongly recommend Mississippi John Hurt.
Okay.
He Spike Driver Blues, Sliding Delta. He's got one called Richland Women, Mike.
Yeah.
That's about just one of the lyrics is, the roosters say cock-a-doodle-doo, and Richland women say any doodle-doo. It's fucking hilarious. I adore it.
Yeah, like the blues is the foundation to modern music.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
So, anyway, the most famous story of the blues, as we have said, is, and the devil, is Robert Johnson. And to tell that story, I have to back up and tell you about Tommy Johnson first. No relation. Now, you might know that name from the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, since he was the guy that Everett, Delmar, and Pete picked up hitchhiking.
Damn, we're in a tight spot.
My hair! I watched that this week because of this. I fucking love it.
I watched it a couple of weeks ago, that movie is amazing.
We thought you was a toad. Anyway.
I'm a goddamn Dapper Dan man.
I'm just going to quote the movie all the rest of the show.
That's all it is. The rest of the episode. Yeah. The whole rest of the episode is just me quoting that movie. So, anyway, so Tommy Johnson was born just south of here in Terry, Mississippi in 1896. and performed until his death in 1956. Like, he died coming off stage after a performance. And his influence in the local music scene was huge because, unlike a lot of musicians, especially at the time, he was willing to teach people his style and his songs.
Now, there are a couple of things to note here as well. Like, first of all, his unique falsetto vocals, which to me evoke a little bit of, like, country. Because the country has its roots in blues, right? So he has that kind of, like, haunting yodely quality to a lot of his songs.
That warbly kind of thing. Yeah.
And there is certainly an unusual feeling to them, which I'm sure added to his mystique quite a bit.
Absolutely. And he spent a lot of time in Jackson, and I would not be surprised if a lot of the Sun Records talent, like even Elvis, got influenced by him. So
He was also one of those foundational performers in the Delta Blues, which, while regional, was a major genre in itself, often tied to what we call the race records. Primarily African American performances on 78s. Like, that was one of the things that they did in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" The guys go to record the song.
Yeah, they're singing in the can, right?
And they even mentioned the race records. I don't know if they called them that, but that was the idea. Because I think that was also what Tommy was going to do in the movie, is he wanted to record one of those. So, now, some of the first recorded black music in general is the Delta Blues.
Yes.
So Tommy Johnson's influence here is incredibly significant, along with Robert Johnson, obviously, Charlie Patton, and like the numerous others whose records may only exist today in the dusty bins of Mississippi record shops.
Yeah, like, if this were a music podcast, like, we would be talking about, like, that whole thing, and, like, the fact that, like, the blues really exploded when white people in New York heard it and came down here looking for the people that recorded it. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of dead folk. And, also, do not seriously get me started further on Mississippi John Hurt, because he is by far my favorite blues musician.
It's times like this that makes me wish I was still doing that radio show, because you and I could have done like an entire episode just like playing blues tracks and talking about this history, man.
Yep.
So Kevin, have you ever been to the Delta?
I've been through the Delta with a friend of ours, and my immediate thought was, holy shit, this is where the blues came from.
No, the Delta, Mississippi Delta, is a very unique place because
it's like a third world country.
Yeah, if you want to see basically "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," you go to the Delta.
Oh yeah,
it's very rural, very poor. I saw shacks that looked like they had been, built 50 years ago. That
with people living in them.
People still living in them. Yeah, like they were unpainted, like the wood was all gray.
And corrugated metal in places. David, it's like Fallout, but with less hope.
Yeah.
Of course Fallout shows up again.
Yeah.
God damn it, sorry.
The little bit of like, you'll see like storefronts, like, old timey, like a general store or something.
With the Coca-Cola signs.
Yeah, but it's been closed for 40 years.
Yeah, like tar paper shacks, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, tar paper, that's a luxury, my friend.
Now how far back was that when the last time you rolled through there?
Oh, that was like 98, 99.
It's probably been gentrified since.
No, it hasn't.
No.
We have a friend who works for the labor, what is it?
Oh yeah, Department of Labor.
Yeah, he works for the Department of Labor, and they are constantly going up there to investigate labor violations. And he said it is like it's just like a war zone after the war.
Oh, jeez.
I thought you were going to mention our other friend who does traveling in that area for his job, and as a rep.
Oh yeah, no, it is fucking.
And, we've talked to him about it too, and it's just
it's worse
sad.
than when we were there.
I wouldn't say it's worse. I just think it hasn't changed.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Hard Scrabble community.
Yeah. Very. Yeah. I think actually, it has gotten a little worse because I think a lot of the agricultural jobs have disappeared.
Yeah.
But I don't think it looks any worse, but it is worse for the people.
But I will tell you, if you go through there, you will understand the blues.
Yeah. No,
it's big time.
the blues makes a lot of sense when you go through the Delta.
Yep.
Yeah.
So back to Tommy Johnson. Tommy's life story is actually fairly well known because of his popularity. As with most early blues musicians, it is full of sadness and terrible things, but the reason it's known is because he fucking lived long enough. Tommy's life is unique because he was one of the first to claim a deal with the devil. And this was, as you might expect, what we would consider a marketing thing. His brother and co-musician, Liddell, was the first person to start spreading that story for him. And it would soon after come to be associated with another Johnson.
And this wouldn't be the only time Tommy Johnson would be associated with, like, the gimmick of another guitarist of that time. He would also carry with him a large rabbit's foot, likely borrowed from Charlie Patton's persona. He also seemed to learn guitar tricks and integrate them into his performances. We're talking tricks, like riding the guitar like a mule and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he was doing stuff like, you know that famous stuff, Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar behind his head and with his mouth mic? Tommy Johnson would do that.
Yeah.
In like the 20s.
Now, the thing is, it can be hard to tell who can claim the dubious honor of the deal with the devil first. Now, I know that, like, you just said that, like, it was Tommy, but, like, could it be Tommy first? Possibly, but we have an issue with the last word, because Tommy Johnson died in 1956, and Robert Johnson would have been dead nearly 20 years. Plenty of time for a showman like Tommy to see a gimmick that works and integrate it into their personal mythos, like so many guitar tricks.
That's also fair. There's no real way to know, because we'll get into why a lot of this is questionable later.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can't discuss Robert Johnson's potential pact with the devil without Tommy Johnson being in the mix here because of Liddell Johnson's storytelling, which includes recollections, quote, that he'd seen a white woman give birth to a devil's baby and had once been attacked by a winged serpent when he was out riding a bicycle. That's a direct quote from Liddell Johnson.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is don't go to Terry.
Winged serpents. What's Quetzalcoatl doing there?
I fucking worked in Terry. Don't go.
What's Quetzalcoatl doing there, man?
What's that?
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, no. Also, I mean, like, the only place to eat was the gas station little deep fryer thing in the back.
I mean, those probably hit pretty well, though.
Oh, dude, I'm diabetic for a reason. So, anyway, Robert Johnson, of course, is a legend in every sense of the word. Like, the British blues movement owes its entire existence and style to a 1961 release of Robert's music, and he's been called the first rock star, and with damn good reason. What he isn't, though, is well documented. His entire life has been reconstructed, sometimes with contradicting facts, by various blues historians. And what does an absence of fact breed but legend and conspiracy like a fucking fungus?
Now, one interesting and sad detail in his biography may have been the spark as to what led him claiming he had made a pact with the devil, but we'll get into that. Had this event not happened, who knows if we'd be discussing Robert Johnson in this context today.
Yeah, there's just a lot of sad here. Now, to understand Robert's legend, we have to understand where the idea of his making a deal with the devil originated. Robert loved music his entire life, and he was a fair harmonica player when young, but he was considered a less than talented guitar player, and I cannot stress how much he stank, according to what I've read. So around 1929, after the death of his first wife during childbirth, he left town, and when he returned, he was playing the guitar like a master.
Now, for those of us keeping track of numbers, his first wife, Virginia Travis, died at 14 years old when he was only 18 years old, and obviously the baby died as well.
Oof. Yeah, the South was buck wild back then. Now, the story goes that Robert heard that he could meet the devil at the crossroads, and we don't actually know which one. Some say it's the one in Clarksdale, but they have a giant thing about it. But a lot of towns claim it's theirs. If he promised the devil a soul, the devil would grant him a boon. At that midnight meeting, the devil appeared with a big black dog, and after hearing Robert's request, he took his guitar from him, tuned it, played a song, and then handed him back the guitar. And from that moment on, Robert played like a man well beyond his years.
So all this time he was just playing with an untuned guitar. That's why he sounded bad.
I did not think of that till you said it, but shit. Well, there we go. Devil tuned his guitar. The end.
So it is a great story with all the hallmarks of devil packs that we've discussed so far, down to the associated animal imagery and the boon at the cost of one's soul.
Right.
Now, before we get to the next bit, I want to look at the issue of Virginia's death. Now,
oh, yeah, you do this. It's too sad.
Well, it's also, I think, probably the likely reason why we're talking about this today.
Right.
Now, Robert Mac...
Buckle in.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, buckle in, Mike. This is sad.
Okay. Robert Mac McCormick, a blues researcher, and a bit of a character himself. I read an entire article about how crazy he was.
Okay.
He did a lot of essential research into uncovering Johnson's life story. I think like the majority of what we understand about Robert Johnson is due to him. The problem was that McCormick had, quote, bouts of severe depression, paranoia, and occasionally manic episodes. So there was this entire other fascinating figure to talk about in the context of all of this.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like me a little bit, but yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
yeah.
Now, I brought him up as he managed to find Virginia's surviving relatives.
That's a hell of a feat given the South.
Mm-hmm. Now, in his research, which was also used in the 1992 documentary, The Search for Robert Johnson, he posits the association of dealing with the devil was a result of Virginia's death. Specifically, her surviving relatives claim that her death was Johnson's punishment for singing secular songs, or as they put it, selling your soul to the devil.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, the devil's music and all that, because, like, I wanted to work it in, but, like, I couldn't really figure out a way to do it, so thank you.
Yeah, so the family, clearly this is a religious family that saw his secular music as, you know, again, like, signing your soul to the devil. So
he played in major key.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, it's cool. It suggested from there that like Johnson ran with that, committing to a career as a blues musician. So had Virginia not died and Robert settled down as a family man, we likely may never have heard of him. Instead, what we get appears to be a shonen training arc out of this guy, you know, following the death of his wife. He goes off on a journey, trains to become the best guitarist, and then that's what happens.
Right. Because, Mike, I may have told you this. What actually happened when Robert left was he moved in with a man named Isaiah Ike Zimmerman, who was a master of blues guitar. Now, Zimmerman has his own supernatural story. It is said that him and a friend gained their skill by playing the guitar in a cemetery late at night, and that the devil bestowed him with his talent. And the truth, of course, is that playing a guitar in a cemetery means that the residents don't get mad at the noise or the missed notes.
Well, yeah. And if you do wake the dead with your playing, there's probably a lot more to worry about than a sour note or two.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So Robert was obsessed with the guitar, even though he had his, you know, I guess you'd say middling talent with the harmonica and the jaw harp.
I got one of those.
Yeah. I'm not going to use the other word for that. Other name for that.
No, God, no.
Absolutely not.
You changed one letter.
Now, stories suggest that he did what any good old Delta boy would do as a kid. He nailed a wire to a wall and used that as a guitar string, making him sound like a cartoon cat during a Depression-era cartoon.
Honestly, I can understand that.
No, I get it, but it's also one of those things, like, if you're watching a cartoon set in the Depression, you got a bunch of, like, cats who are poor and hungry are coded as black people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then, like, you know, one of them, like, grabs a trash can lid, the other one takes a string and nails it to a wall and starts plucking it.
Or,
There's also the wash tub base, which is,
it's
exactly.
a string and a wash tub.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
person with the jaw heart, meow, 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 meow. That sort of thing. Yeah, no, the visual is quite clear to me.
Oh yes, no, it is a Tom and Jerry cartoon for sure. But like as an artist and a writer and a bit of an actor, I am still pissed that I can't play a musical instrument.
The problem with the musical instrument is it takes a lot of practice and discipline. You have to sit down every day, or at least a few days a week, for about a few months to really start noticing any acquire. It's like playing music is like learning a language,
which is why I don't speak another language.
Yeah, it just takes a lot to do. I mean, you just can't. I mean, some people I'm sure there are some people that pick it up like super easy. It just comes naturally to them. But for most people that can learn, it's just hard work.
Yeah, my mother is capable of playing like several instruments, and I don't have the discipline. Like, even though I have the ear for music, I just don't have the discipline, because like I've played like keyboard and trombones here and there, but like I don't have the discipline for it.
Right. And also, when he moved in with this guy, they're both unemployed, so like they don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, so they're just jam sessioning the whole time.
Yeah.
So also one thing that I did think of is, the deal with the devil, kind of, I know, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming all the people involved, in the story are black. But I was thinking, what if someone learned from a white person? It'd be, deal with the white devil.
That's fair.
I mean, that's entirely possible too.
Yep. So, at any rate, it's easy to see how a man disappearing with no aptitude for the guitar and coming back wailing on it would just sprout some damn legends.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Son House, who is another particularly noted blues figure, was noted for his recollection of the near supernatural speed in which Johnson's guitar playing improved. Okay. So here's Son House recalling the revelation of Johnson returning just like 6 or 7 months later to blow their dicks off with a guitar in from Robert Johnson from Robert Johnson Lost and Found.
I'm sorry, just that's a great turn of phrase.
Yeah, no.
Blow your dick off.
Okay. Quote, "We gets up, laughs at him. So he sits down and he starts playing. And when he got through, all our mouths was open. Yeah, what happened was a big surprise. How'd he do it that fast?" So, with that said, there's some debate on whether House attributed the guitar improvement to a satanic pact. More than likely, this is apocryphal and the jumbling of one person's thoughts with another. But like the larger point is that the thought was out there. Robert Johnson must have sold his soul to get good that fast.
Right. But in all fairness, from what I've read, House may not have confirmed that he made a pact with the devil, but he sure as hell didn't deny it.
Yeah.
Like, when confronted, he never said no.
Oh, yeah. And so I also have to think that, obviously he, knew the guitar somewhat. He may not be good at it. So I think also what probably spurned his quick uptake was that I forget the guy's name, the guy he moved in with. Zimmerman probably taught him in a way that he could absorb.
He may have also had a good ear.
Well, and the trick is to play the guitar behind your head, apparently.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that, the way he had been trying to learn it before may have just not been, integrating with him well.
You know what else it might have been? Getting a guitar as opposed to a wire on the wall.
No.
Sorry.
I just imagine him carrying a shack with him just so he could have his guitar with him. That's the dumbest thing.
I'm sorry, Mike. You were saying?
I'm just saying that, I don't know how he was learning it before, whether he just had like a guitar and was picking at it, trying to teach himself, or did he have anyone that tried to teach him and he just didn't get it?
I can only imagine he was fumbling by himself.
Yeah, being able to sit down with an expert makes a world of difference.
Like I said, and also somebody that knows how to teach you, not just he probably sat down with other musicians that didn't know how to teach guitar.
Oh,
and
very true.
Just do this, and he's like, what do you mean? And he's like,
yeah, no, it's like watching a tutorial on how to play the ukulele online on YouTube, and it's like, all right, you put your hands here, and the music comes out. And I'm like, fuck you.
Dude Zimmerman probably had to do like hand exercises to get range, because if you can't like do a good spread, you're not going to get all the notes you need to hit.
Yeah,
maybe they ghosted it, like in Ghost, when Patrick Swayze's ghost is behind.
Oh God, Zimmerman and Robert just in this bizarre blues anyway. So now again about these stories, Robert also would not deny them. He leaned in hard. I mean, there are tons of mentions of crossroads and hellhounds and the devil coming for his soul in his scant recorded music. I mean, it is a hell of a gimmick.
Like, he has a song called Crossroads. Here was a man who knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got a song about hellhound on my tail. So, Now what didn't hurt this legend, unfortunately, was Robert's death in 1938 at the age of 27 near Greenwood, Mississippi. And I need to point out, this may be the beginning of Club 27, the strange habit of musicians dying at the age of 27. Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, all of them died at 27. And I think like Mama Cass and Janis Joplin as well.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon that like mostly began with like the 60s and 70s rock scene, but like if not a retroactive founding member, he is at least included for sure at this point.
See, I would argue the first, because if rock music is built on the blues, the Club 27 is built on Robert Johnson. That's just me.
Yeah, I feel you there. And then also we've like expanded it to actors and stuff too.
Yeah,
like just
Phoenix.
In general. Something about the number 27, man, which is wild because I was born on the 27th. So
I heard you, Mike. So even even Robert Johnson's true cause of death is unknown, because he was unfortunately a poor black man in the South. It was probably syphilis due to his extremely loose lifestyle. The man had a girl in every single town almost. But legends still maintain it was some form of poison, either from the husband of a woman he was wooing or the devil himself come to collect on the deal.
And when you talk about a woman in almost every town, like his romantic history is pretty extensive.
That's where we get a lot of information about him from, is the women.
So the poisoned whiskey angle is certainly plausible based on what we know about his lifestyle. Now, I'm going to pull from Dick Wiseman's Blues the Basics here.
Okay.
Quote, Robert later kept company with another woman, Virgie Mae Smith. She gave birth to a boy, but the couple split up, and Robert then married an older woman named Coletta Craft. This marriage did not last long, although Craft claimed that on several occasions Robert returned and asked her to travel with him, but she refused these invitations. According to several other bluesmen, Robert often sought out older women who could take care of him, providing food and lodging while he sang on the street corners and in juke joints.
That sounds like very Oedipal.
Like, he sounds like people I know.
Okay, yeah, no, I could see that.
So, he would take up with a woman, Estella Coleman, who had a son named Robert Lockwood, whom Johnson would teach the guitar and who would later go by the name Junior in honor of Johnson.
So, Robert Johnson Jr.
Yeah. Now, okay. I don't know if he was actually Robert's kid, but, given...
Right.
So, Junior knew Robert well, quote, describing Robert as an inveterate wanderer, always ready to go from town to town, hitchhiking, riding the bus, or riding in the back of a farmer's wagon. He was also always looking for a woman to stay with, and sometimes this habit caused trouble because Robert was not especially concerned about whether that woman was single or married. Johnny Shines often interviewed about his travels with Robert, and he painted a picture of a wanderer who now and again would get into fights, altercations that left the two of them with bruises and broken bones.
Now, I have a very quick question for the both of you. Can you call a man a floozy?
No, the term is man whore.
Okay.
No, the term today is fuckboy.
That's true.
Oh, Robert Johnson, blues fuckboy.
So here's the thing. That I think I can answer the thing about the kid that we earlier being his. No, he was 27. This kid was old enough for him to teach guitar. So the kid was definitely not his.
I mean, okay. I mean, that's entirely possible.
Very good math, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Unless you do the math, it sounds plausible.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm going to reference another source here. Again, this is Ananias Smith's Blues Criticism and the Signifying Trickster. So we can see that Johnson was certainly a character, and in many ways he evokes the imagery of like the perpetual wanderer and trickster. And then as associated with crossroads and African American cultural narratives. A great example of this is in the lyrics of Hellhound on My Trail, released in 1937, which features a lot of restless imagery and like ideas of an unrestrainable urge to wander. Now, to a larger point, the presence of the devil in blues music as a trickster often results in the trickster characteristic transplanted to the narrator of the song, such as the case in a lot of Johnson's work. And, what trickster wouldn't want to see their story spread through a little story about, like, the crossroads and dark deals, especially if everyone is already doing the work and spreading it for you?
We need to cover trickster gods at some point, like Loki, Ananasi, and Bugs Bunny, and,
There's only one of those I actually believe in.
Bugs Bunny?
Correct.
Yeah, I figured. Now, the legend of Robert Johnson would only spread as people in the coming decades would come to try and record him, only to find he died back in 1938. They'd scour rural Mississippi for all the information they could on the late Robert Johnson, and if there is one thing we love here in Mississippi, it's a good story.
And butter.
Fair.
And catfish.
Also fair.
But mostly butter.
Yeah. So, Wiseman's book has a great passage about this. So, quote, "The legend of Robert Johnson probably can be traced to John Hammond's Carnegie Hall Spirituals and Swing concerts, presented in New York City, in December 1938. Hammond was a record producer and a sort of all music styles talent scout for Columbia Records. Over the years, he, quote, discovered jazz guitarist Charlie Christian, jazz singer Billie Holiday, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, among others."
Now, when you say discovered, you mean that in the same way Christopher Columbus discovered America, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But God, that is a long-ass career.
Yeah. Now, Hammond was also a lifelong liberal and believer in civil rights causes. That's kind of a nice little note. In 1937, he wrote about Johnson's recordings for the left-wing periodical New Masses, extolling Johnson's virtues as an important blues singer. In the summer of 1938, Hammond presented a sort of kaleidoscopic history of jazz in a live Carnegie Hall concert. He wanted to include gospel music and blues as sort of a roots examination of the backgrounds of jazz. Now, Hammond had Don Law search for Robert Johnson, Don Law being an important figure as well, intending to bring him to the Carnegie Hall concert. Ultimately, Ernie Ortle informed Law that Johnson was dead, and Hammond ended up using Big Bill Brunzi, again, a lot of names here, as his representative blues singer. But Hammond also went to the unusual and dramatic extreme of playing two of Robert's recordings at the concert, preceding them with an announcement of Johnson's death and a spoken elegy on his life, which was later published in New Masses.
Interesting.
So two things here. lot of names that were music, and if this were a musical history podcast, we'd absolutely need to dive into further, like Don Law specifically.
We're getting dangerously close to that with this and the KLF.
Exactly, and it's not going to end anytime soon when we start covering like occultism and rock and roll and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also, second, the concert can be read as a goddamn magical ritual, and I kind of lost my mind reading that detail. Playing those songs in a public exhibition, announcing Johnson's death and eulogizing him to an audience to which he was patently unknown is like an instance of magical thinking and changing reality. It's just that, it's not just that there was a relatively unknown blues musician with a fascinating story out there. He was forged into an icon near instantly through that.
Right. And I'm going to let Mike talk about this in a second. I'm sure he's got some thoughts, but magical acts aren't always intentional. But this one kind of was, though it may not have been intended as magic exactly. It still got the job done.
I mean, it just sounds like, like you said, eulogizing someone.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound anything magic to me. It's, it's just talking about someone and bringing to light somebody that most of these people didn't know about.
A lot of magical ritual is like, because we are going to cover magic at some point this year. We're going to get into it. I'm going to pull my finger out of my ass and do it. Like I've been trying to figure out how to approach the subject, but like that's the thing with a lot of magical rituals. Like you could just as easily assume it's not magic. That's the thing. It's about the thought that goes into it and whether or not people are attributing it to magical thinking.
Yeah, but a lot of it involves like visualization and notebooks.
Yeah, and in the case of this, like obviously, it's just a guy eulogizing an artist that he recently found out who was dead, who he developed an appreciation for. But when you look at it in the larger context and you apply that kind of magical thinking lens to it, it has the hallmarks of a ritual.
It's kind of like the KLF stuff.
Yeah.
So magical thinking can be any goddamn thing you want it to be. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, no, like literally, like you're not wrong on that.
Nailed it.
You're not wrong on that. That's why I've been so hesitant to deal with magic as a topic.
It's tough to nail down.
It has no parameters, therefore is null.
Because Mike, the most important book ever written on chaos magic is called Liber Null for a reason.
And magic, when it comes to magic, it's whether or not you believe in it.
Yes.
That's literally it. Like if you believe that you put the effort in and you committed a magical ritual and you got that job, then
it
magic.
Worked for you.
Used fucking magic to get that job. That's how it works.
It works the same way as prayer.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's magical thinking.
Secular prayer. That's what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something I was going to mention. We got sidetracked here. Looking back at the doc, and I can't remember what it was. Okay,
no, I'm sure you'll remember it. So this like, if we're going to call this a magical ritual, which we could if we follow that kind of right thinking, it didn't exactly take in 1938, but Hammond would try again and again to raise the collective knowledge of Robert Johnson. So in the mid-1960s, Hammond's recent LP of Johnson's collected recordings would find their way into the hands of Eric Clapton and Keith Richards, among others.
And I just want to say, it is the official stance of this podcast that Eric Clapton can go fuck himself real damn hard.
Why would you say that to me? Because he does that little, like, guitar talky thing. Oh. Yeah.
Oh.
I tried my best to do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I thought you were doing a Man in Black voice. Why would you do that to me?
But,
Mike?
Never mind. I can't remember what I was thinking of.
Oh. It is getting late.
Well, just throw in a fuck Eric Clapton. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. You've earned it.
I was just trying to remember who the more person I more associate with the vocoder
Frampton.
is. Frampton, that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
I think of Frampton.
Okay.
Peter Frampton.
Vocoder.
Do you feel. Yeah.
When I think of when I think Eric Clapton, I think of his sad "My Boy's Dead" song.
My son fell out a fucking window and I'm gonna milk it.
Shit.
Fucking,
That's kind of the
stole
blues.
black music and then started saying we got to get rid of the black people.
Oh,
Kind
man.
of a shithead.
So,
What a piece of shit.
So, like, getting back to, like, the 1938 issue, this frustrating moment of, like, just missing the boat was certainly a key contributor to Johnson's mystique, and ultimately, like, the grim irony in this whole situation. It, like, evokes the most time-honored tropes of supernatural packs. You never quite get what you're asking for.
Oh, yeah.
So he got good at the music he wanted to play, but he died without being able to reap the rewards.
Yeah, he became famous and didn't get to enjoy it.
I think his, like, best-selling recording only made, like, maybe 40,000 copies, which it sounds like a lot for the time, but wasn't really.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only form of entertainment. Records were selling like crazy.
So, you know, Robert Johnson was more known for his music than he had ever been, but it just took decades after his death to achieve it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have played with this trope in like fiction. Like even I did in The Errand Apprentice. I had a character that made a deal with Jack as the devil, and he became a blues master and was promptly banished to a void. So he couldn't actually do anything with it. It's the same general idea.
Yeah.
He just asked, I want to be the best guitar player in the world. Okay, welcome to hell.
And here's the thing about this whole topic. Like, it reminds me of The Flying Dutchman in the sense that you have, like, one singular thing that represents a whole bunch of stories. So, like, yeah, Robert Johnson in this case is kind of like the Flying Dutchman in the sense that he's the representative of all of these deals with the devil.
He's like the archetype. Mike, you were about to say
I was
something?
gonna say your thing reminded me of a dirty joke.
Shit.
Oh, no.
Man, I forget what you insert figure here. We can put, with the devil. He wishes that his dick would touch the floor, so the entity cuts his legs off.
But
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. If, like, oh, okay, never mind. I was thinking cut his leg off at the knee, but no, he, like, cuts his entire
at the hips.
leg off. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, because I was
His
going to say,
dick
they cut your
touches
legs
the
off at the
floor.
knee and your dick touches the floor.
you still
You're
got
doing
a big
pretty
dick.
well, all things considered. They call you tripod.
Anyway, I'm glad I was able to contribute to this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I'm certainly listening to the blues a lot more since working on this one for a couple weeks now. But, like, what did you guys think about this subject?
I mean, I learned a lot because I've never really been too interested in the blues.
Right.
I don't hate it, but it's not quite my style. Although,
You can appreciate it.
Yeah. Although I will say, so because of where we work, like a couple of times, like so, Cathead is a local distillery here.
Which there's a story about that name
they-
that's related to the blues.
Yeah, they get the name of the company, Cathead, is a blues term, and they do a lot of blues stuff. They do a lot of supporting local musicians and things. But for was it Christmas? They had that guy come play.
I think so.
I think it was Christmas. They had a guy come and play the blues in front of the store. He's outside, luckily, so we weren't like serenaded the whole time too badly. But yeah, just the whole time I'm hearing them, play the blues, and it's very kind of traditional blues.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking just in that kind of mindset. So I just kind of between doing things on my phone, kind of hammered out my own little blues song. Not going to sing it or anything, but I might post the lyrics in the Discord or something.
Oh, hey, there you go.
There we go.
It was kind of a tribute because Kevin was going through mental shit at the time.
Aw.
So it's kind of like,
I didn't know that.
well, Kevin, what do you, it was called was it the treatment resistant blues?
Oh,
or
yes.
something?
Okay, I do remember
shit.
that. Okay.
Yeah. So it was basically kind of a mental health blues.
Yeah.
Well, and Kevin, in your defense, you're always going through something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
So I went to the Cathead website, which is catheaddistillery.com. The term cathead is a compliment in Mississippi, first coined back in the day by blues musicians as a nod to artists they respect. Mississippi artists and musicians went on to use catheads in many forms of folk art as a way to pay their rent and share their legacies. Now, I feel like that might be why, you remember Blues Travelers album 4, the one that had like all their big hits on it?
Yeah.
There's a cat head on that album cover.
Yeah.
So, I think
That's
they
wild,
might be
man.
related.
Yeah, because
So,
from what I understand about the cat head, that's the like I see it as like I've known it as part of like sailing.
Really?
Because it's a beam located on like the either side of the bow of a ship.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at like a article about it now on Wikipedia, and it's like, yeah, no, just yeah, no, interesting.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, I have had like a few blues songs in different playlists over the years, and I'm adding more. I'm also getting a little more interested in just general musicians from Mississippi from this. And, of course, Faustian bargains are every fucking where in media. Can't get away from them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in real life,
Yep, ain't that
Yep.
the truth?
yeah, we're constantly dealing with the repercussions of someone's dumbass agreement with someone else.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, David, thank you for this episode. I think both of us had a lot of fun writing it. Mike, did you enjoy the episode?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad you did. And I hope everyone out there learned something or at least enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll come back to the devil at some point soon. The next 2 weeks, we got a couple of weekend weirds coming up, and then I have an episode. It's going to be a book report episode about a book called The Grand Unified Conspiracy Theory. And if you thought the Saturn Death Cult was incredibly stupid, oh boy.
I'm buying myself a bottle of rum just for that episode.
You fucking dude, I didn't know about the Saturn Death Cult until I read about it. This book just talks about it like everybody knows, and mixes it with David Icke.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, I said we'd never cover David Icke again, but like we're kind of gonna be doing it in a couple weeks. So
Yeah,
anyway,
he pops in here and there. You know what I mean?
he's like the Aleister Crowley of lizard people. He's everywhere. So, anyway, thank you everyone for listening. I know we all three of us appreciate you tuning in every week and listening to the crazy crap we got to talk about. And I hope you'll continue to do so. Again, you can leave us a review if you'd like, and we'll read it, positive or negative, whatever. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can head to supernatpod.rocks. That is supernatpod.rocks. ROCKS. You can find links to our Discord, our social media, our store, our Patreon, and all that fun stuff. And we hope you'll continue to check it out. You can also listen to our other series in this feed, The Distraction Hole, where we try to get pop culture like Fallout out of our heads and fail. So, before we go, Mike, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Not really.
Okay. David, have you got anything you'd like to plug?
Do yourself a favor and just kind of like put together a YouTube playlist of classic blues and just chill out for an hour.
There you go. That
Yeah.
sounds like a plan. And again, check out Mississippi John Hurt if you can find him. He should be on like most of the streaming stuff. He was one of those people that like did blues stuff, quit doing it, then got rediscovered in the 70s, and just his career blew up after that. So fantastic story of a dude that actually got a happy ending. And also you can check out my stuff. Once again, theduckwebcomics.com. I think it's /The Errant Apprentice. somewhere in there. Anyway, you can search for The Errand Apprentice on the Duck Web Comics or drunkduck.com if you still have that bookmarked. And again, thank you for listening. We'll see you in a week. So until then, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye.
Night.
Good night. Do y'all remember that, Mike? Do you remember the shortest blues song in the world from that Weird Al thing?
I didn't wake up this morning.
I love that.
Yeah. Was that Blind Lemon?
Blind
Yankovic?
Lemon Yankovic, yes.